How would you like it if your customers and even big accounts you haven't been able to crack told you exactly how to sell to them? And what if your leadership could spend a few hours together and emerge fully aligned on your future direction? It turns out there is one guy who discovered a process for unlocking your company's greatest income potential and helping you design a better company for the future. It's very unusual how he does it, and CEOs at some of the largest companies in the world have actually called it their secret weapon in unlocking opportunity between enterprises. So stick around and you'll find out what it is in just a minute and how it can work for you. But first, I'm Bonnie Fanning, and I'm here to introduce the man who came up with this incredible process that's unlike anything else, Lloyd Dangle. Hi, Lloyd.
Hi, Bonnie.
So, Lloyd, you have a background as a strategist, a designer of company brands, and a cartoonist. And you've helped over 150 companies with the intensive visual strategy workshops that you create. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right, Bonnie. It's actually probably close to 200 companies now since I have been working with Hewlett-Packard Enterprise and Amazon Web Services and tons of innovative companies, helping them devise their strategy and how to work together and how to collaborate.
So your company's called Draw the Future. And what exactly does Draw the Future do for companies?
Well, change happens in conversations. And so really what I do is I help companies have really meaningful conversations and really effective collaboration. I have a process that allows people to come together over a period of about 6 weeks, culminating in a one-day conversation workshop that is collaborative, highly visual, highly interactive, and by the end of it, they've reached a new place of strategy and discovered the things that they have to do to make their future happen.
So you say these are highly visual and highly collaborative. And when I think about meetings, I mean, a lot of them are visual. There's PowerPoints, right? And there's somebody talking to a room full of people. And sometimes you collaborate a lot in them and come up with lots of ideas. But I can only imagine people watching now how many meetings you've been in where you even came up with great ideas, but nothing happened after the fact. So how is what you do different from that?
So what's different is there is a meeting that happens, a visual meeting, but it's at the end of several weeks of preparation where we've laid the groundwork. So when people come into a room, they enter a room that doesn't look anything like the conference room they're used to. All the walls have been turned into whiteboards, and there's sort of a skeleton framework of a number of conversations or exercises that are going to happen. But when they get there, rather than having a bunch of PowerPoints and a bunch of people talking at you, it's entirely collaborative and it's entirely a co-design experience. So we walk through some conversations that help them align on a vision for what they're trying to do.
So these are really high stakes conversations that you're talking about. So who's usually invited and what is that like?
An important part of the preparation is to get the right people in the room. So this is a combination of people with the decision-making power and some of the people that are going to carry out and implement the projects that come out of the meeting. So we start with the sponsor's question, like what are they trying to solve? And we do a bit of detective work prior to the workshop in order to really figure that out and get it very explicit. That helps us in the workshop to have the right conversations with the right people to get that answer. And what I do is I structure those conversations so that they're very logical and it takes them to their imagination, which is unusual territory for many teams and a place that they may have a lot of resistance to.
So this is really different from a meeting where there happens to be a graphic recorder or a visual note taker present.
You probably have been in meetings where there's a graphic recorder standing off to the side drawing, and their job is to make an artifact, make a record of the meeting. And that is super helpful. But we take it a bit further, and we actually use the visuals front and center as a way of guiding the flow of the experience for the people in the room. So you're having the experience of actually helping to build the pictures that describe what your vision is. Let me give you an example. Sometimes a person will enter a meeting and they're making a case, they're making an argument. And so we capture that and we put up on the wall and we say, okay, we've got that. Is that right? and they'll say, that's it. And then it sort of frees them up to participate in the conversation. And now they can be imaginative and think of maybe there's some things that go with it, or maybe there's some augmentations to it that make it even better. It's an invitation to open up these ideas and explore them in a deep way, rather than just like, an argument that they've maybe been having for years.
So what is it that makes the visual element so effective in creative change with companies?
Well, part of it is really that these senior leaders are operating in such a space of complexity. Imagine you have like 5 or 6 of these super intelligent people with all these different ideas. It's very complex in a conversational mode. And when someone says something, a brilliant idea, it disappears in a moment. So what we do is this thing that we call cognitive offloading, where we take those ideas, we put them on the wall, we make them tangible in a sense. Like I can put all the future aspirations over there. I can put all the challenges of the current state over here. And suddenly it starts to become a lot easier to have a conversation about this complex stuff. By the end of the conversations, at the end of this workshop, people are like saying to me, wow, I can't believe we were able to do that much work in one day. And you've made it all so much simpler now for us to work with.
Wow. So you're also just tapping into people's visual and spatial intelligences while you're doing this. It's like using a part of your brain that you would never use in a normal meeting.
Yeah. And I love that there's been so many books recently that have come out talking about cognitive science. And what's funny is they often will support things that I've kind of known intuitively having done this work. Because if you see how people's energy changes when they're able to offload this complex stuff, and they're all looking at the same picture, talking about the same thing, and there's this like sudden sense that, oh, they're actually aligning in a way that's deeper than what they normally are able to do. You can sense it from the energy of the people, and you can really see it in the results at the end of one of these workshops.
That's really exciting. So you were a nationally syndicated political cartoonist for 23 years. How did you go from that to helping business leaders make better decisions about the future of their business?
Yeah, people are always surprised about my career trajectory. But when you draw comics, you have to get a lot of information into a tiny box. And you have to tell complex stories in the most simple way, because you just don't have time to mess around. And it turned out that was just very applicable to business scenarios. People would approach me from businesses and they would say, we have a hard time explaining our product so that our partners can understand. For example, I was approached by this mom and pop company. They had discovered this health formula that was made of vitamin C and echinacea. And Walgreens and the large drugstore chains had never seen anything like it. And they didn't understand it and didn't understand how to sell it or where to put it in the store. And so I worked with this company, which later became Airborne. And we made a package that explained what the product did at a glance. And within a few months of doing that, the product just exploded on the market. And within a couple of years, it was like $200 million in sales from zero. So that was when I realized that the power of these visuals is quite amazing. And some years later, I was invited to join the team at Hewlett-Packard, who they had a consulting team where they did these kind of visual meetings. And it was a really good fit for what I do, because I can synthesize things in visuals very quickly. And that's sort of the basis of what we do at Draw the Future. Now we do it with a real future-focused mindset.
So what happens in the event itself? People show up, there's pictures on the wall, pictures are happening, drawing is happening in real time during this. What is it like to be in one of these?
Well, I've talked to everybody before the meeting, so we set the tone so that they're able to come into the room and get to work right away. And they'll launch into a conversation. Usually I start the day with a conversation about the future customer. And we start to put them into a different mindset, thinking about the future. Many companies will know a lot about their current customer, and they are very focused on solving problems for that current customer. But if you think about it, by the time that your solutions that you're working on today are ready to go to market, your customer will have already changed. You have to kind of be thinking about a customer that may be wearing diapers now, or maybe riding a tricycle. And by the time your solutions are mature, you're going to have to be figuring out how to appeal to them. And their expectations may be completely different. So one of the things we do in Draw the Future is we get the people into a future mindset, and we get them thinking, well, how will our products have to be so that they will be delighted by them? But also, how will we have to be as a company? How will we have to be showing up? So from that perspective of the future mindset, you can start to make decisions, and then the decisions affect the tactics that you're doing today and the investments that you're making today. So that's part of how we help them develop their future vision and get their leaders aligned around that vision.
Wow. So can you tell us about some of the results that have come out of it?
Yeah, so I've worked with relationships between giant companies that are like in the 500 million to $1 billion range. And when you're operating in that environment, when you uncover opportunities that are previously unseen, those might be worth $1 billion. While that might not be happening at your company at that scale, the same thing I think is true. If you have a sense that there's an opportunity there, maybe your account team isn't equipped yet to find it. That's a good place to bring us in, and we can structure the conversation so that you can look for those opportunities. I've helped a lot of account teams and pursuit teams go after opportunities that right now are not visible. And through this type of a visioning conversation, as those unseen opportunities emerge, the customer actually tells you exactly how to sell to them. So whether I'm helping you run a high-stakes meeting with a customer to look for billion-dollar opportunities, or whether I'm coaching you and your team to get ready for that kind of engagement, those are things that we would work on together.
I can only imagine how many executives and businesses can benefit from this amazing experience that you create. What is the best way for someone to reach out to you to get started?
Reach out to me through my website, and it would be great if you would go to drawthefuture.com, fill out a contact form, and I'll get in touch with you right away, and we'll have a conversation to see how I can help.